Hey, what's up guys? Books Nelson here, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing a little combo video. So first we're going to preview this bold collection, but then we're going to discuss some of the Twitter drama going on. Now, I will get into that, right? But before we get to the Twitter drama, let's talk about the cards real quick. So Russell Westbrook, this is a fan card. If you like Russ, then you're going to get this card. If you don't like Russ, there's absolutely no reason to use this card because he's inferior to Clyde and Shea and Eddie Jones, Gilbert Arenas. He's not going to be as good as most of those cards, I don't think, unless they really change something about his release. If they give him Patty Mills, that could really be interesting. But if they don't give him Patty Mills, he's essentially going to be a better version of the Ja card that is up there right now. Because I do think Russ. I got to take a look at that Ja, but Russ should have. He usually has that slasher power where he just goes to the basket better than probably all of the cards who are supposed to be good at dunking. Although I do think Ja's in the same category. So that's all that's going on with Russ. Dominique should be pretty good. He has a Curry slide. Going to be an absolutely elite dunker, probably elite on defense in his Galaxy Opal version. And he's going to be 6'8" at the 2 guard. So I think he gives a different look at the 2 guard and honestly probably makes a bunch of people's teams if you haven't gotten lucky in those dark matter polls. Bam Adebayo should also be very good. Slightly undersized, a little disappointing that he can't play the 3 just because it makes for a better collection, but I do think he'll still be playable at the 4 and will probably play a little bigger than his size just because stats and badge wise defensively the card has been pretty strong all year. And I think you just probably got to get him off the floor if you're going maybe against Bobo or KP and he's getting shot over. But outside of that, that's a roll of the dice that you're even going to be facing that. If you're not facing that, he's probably good to go. And probably an excellent triple threat second guy between your primary and your big. It's probably absolutely elite at that role. Ayton should also be very good. I think for some people, this might actually be a center that you can run. He's been pretty good all year, to be honest. He's one of those guys that's been good all year. Not because he has anything special about him, but just because he's been super duper well-rounded. 2K just insists that this guy's a shooter, and that's fine. He is a good offensive center in real life, but yeah, he's been pretty good at both sides of the ball, and absolute staple in salary cap for much of the year. Eric Gordon probably sucks. All right, so the Twitter drama, right? It's this guy, Gamer Keezy. I have no idea who that is. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. If not, I apologize. But basically, so him and DBG and a couple of other community members, some I'm real cool with, like Unbeatable Jacob, are going back and forth. Honestly, guys, I love beef, but I don't like drama. And the difference is beef, like this recent Kendrick Lamar Drake stuff, is actually settled competitively. Drama is usually just a bunch of people whining and talking crap. But in this case, I wanted to get into it because the whole point of this channel is we want to elevate the conversation. And there are some points made here that I've seen made by other community members that I'd like to address in a less emotional, more kind of logical context to describe, if there's any truth to it or if there's a reality that people need to be aware of, right? So, boom, y'all are acting like people weren't literally stealing from 2K by using coin sites, MT sites, which was able to blah, blah, blah. So, and he says, determine the space of the game rather than the pace of the game rather than the creators. That sentence doesn't really make sense. But what he means is basically, because people bought MT sites, that changed the availability of the cards. But really, that's not necessarily true. It changed the availability of getting cards with in-game currency, right? You were able to, buy up enough stuff, even if you were just going to buy enough stuff in the game to get the currency to be able to get the cards. If you spent money, you could get the cards, even if you didn't pull them, right? So the cards were available. It just changed the price of the cards because on the auction house, the rarity is controlled by 2K. So the sky high, 3 million MT Yao Ming, that kind of stuff was in the market. But then if you went to MT sites, that 3 million was maybe only 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever it may be at the given year. So that's not really, that has nothing to do with anything. So here's the thing I want to say right off the bat with the MT sites. The MT sites emerged because 2K wanted to have a separate currency for MyTEAM 2K doesn't want you earning VC across the entire game. This is clearly a strategic decision on their behalf. This could all be totally squashed by having the whole thing be VC. There would be no VC sites because there's no secondary currency, right? There's no secondary economy in the game. So even at the very root of the MT sites issue, before you start talking about security measures and all this other stuff, you're really just talking about this started because 2K wanted a split currency, and they wanted the MYTEAM people they wanted to be able to control what you can get when you play the game, right? So if you're playing MYTEAM only, and I know this as a person who plays both because it's so much easier for me to be no money spent because I get, really millions of VC on the year if I play a lot, especially if you include wheel spins and stuff like that. You can really get a lot of VC just by playing the game. In my career, you guys can't get any VC, zero, right? So the MT controls you. And when you guys, those of you who participated in the MT sites, started to lower the cost of MT, now you controlled the MT, right? People were still paying money, which is funny, right? The money just wasn't going to 2K. It was going to a third party. So that is the root issue, is the second economy brought in by 2K, not the MT sites, which brought in a third party. There would have been no third party if there was no secondary economy in the first place, which was used to manipulate you guys into getting VC the only way you can, which is to spend money. I'm not even saying it, I'm not judging this, right? I'm just saying this was their strategy. I'm not saying it was right or it was wrong, but it was their strategy. All right. So if people are attacking, so this guy's a next maker, and they're saying, some next makers are objective and some are shills. I mean, that's pretty much true with any group. You could say the same thing for content creators. You could even say the same thing for fans, right? People who like the game the way it is are going to defend it, even if they're getting no benefit from it. It just so happens that next makers and content creators may be getting a benefit based on what they're shilling, right? So this guy has this opinion. People are accusing him of being a shill. Who knows? I think it's more likely he's just not super duper informed, but that's not for me to judge. Unlike you, deleting tweets made you look silly. Justifying the company. So justifying a company making a decision to stop themselves from losing money. So here's the problem. The decision to stop themselves from losing money was the player market. And they made that decision because, and it was successful, right? They had to put for us because we could get every card. Some people complained about the price of like Kobe and Wemby and Bron. I never did. I thought that was a fair model, right? If you wanted to get the cards faster, you bought packs. If you wanted to do it no money spent, it was a grind. That's about right. It seemed like a win-win. Now, I don't know what their projections were for making money and how much money they made. I know that the money that they didn't make wasn't only related to MYTEAM. That was stated in their call. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of that stuff because, again, I'm a professional. And when I say I'm a professional, literally, I'm a professional in entertainment. So we don't talk about this stuff without having a literal spreadsheet in front of us, right? So if I'm working for a company and they're saying this is how much money we want to make, this is how much money we made, it's not speculation. So I'm not going to do that in the video, but there was some information that came out that they were talking about some mobile stuff, right? So I wouldn't say MYTEAM lost them money and so they had to get money from MYTEAM. I think it's more likely that it's just easier to get money out of the MYTEAM community by manipulating them, partially because you can play for 1 million hours in MYTEAM and never earn one VC. So going back to our first point, whatever 2K does with MT, that controls you as a MYTEAM player. MT controls the MYTEAM players, as long as the player market was there, the players could only be controlled by so much because there's a hard number there. And that number has to be fair enough that people don't just like riot in the streets. It has to look somewhat attainable, right? So when, the player market was out, it was reasonably fair and predictable for everybody. All right. So DBG is going back and forth, blindly defend the company. And again, the same thing with just to address the MT thing with sites and security. So a lot of this comes from it, and this is not just 2K. This is across the board. One of the reasons companies hate cheating so much is because cheating demands resources but guarantees zero profit, right? So when people, so for instance, stuff like Battle Eye for like Destiny and, you know, various things to keep people from using aim bots and all of this stuff, and Zims and consoles, this is all related. This isn't just 2K. So when companies have to pay for extra security, security cannot make you money. It only prevents you from losing money, right? It's basically like insurance that you're never going to need. So insurance on a car you never drive, right? You never drive. You always take the train and you're still paying insurance. You just hate it. But if you drive your car one day and you get pulled over with no insurance, you're screwed, right? So that's what's happening with the security in 2K. Again, not an issue for the players, because when people cheat in games, that's the cheaters. But what happens is the cheaters get often associated with the regular player base, right? And this is not fair to the player base, because the whole player base suffers based on what the cheaters are doing, right? So the cheaters cause 2K to have to pay for extra security, and then the player base suffers because of the money 2K lost. So again, this all goes back to 2K. We're gonna get into this. So this stuff is silly, like they're talking back and forth, and I don't mean like individually. I just mean the points. There's not. This is like, you know, some of this is people having fun on Twitter. So not gonna get too into the points. I really just want to talk about stuff people say and that's not true or uninformed, that we can elevate the conversation a bit here on this channel, since some of this stuff I do have some information on. Even again, sometimes it's not about 2K specifically. Sometimes this is just how either the industry or how companies work that people don't think about when you're only playing 2K, right? If you're only playing 2K and that's your only concern, you might not be thinking about this stuff when you have these conversations. I think most people don't, no offense, but that's what this channel is for. So blah, blah. So this is another point, right? Lying for what? JC2K. 2K hasn't given you enough to defend predatory business practices. Honestly, I think what people need to remember is that this stuff just gets emotional. You know, that's the main thing. Is like a lot of it isn't, oh, I have a real motivation or I'm really getting paid to do this, that, and the other. It's really more just, you know, people getting emotional and having replies. Let's look at the original replies here and see what people went with here. Yeah, I'm going to get into this. This isn't going to be a super fast video. I just want to, I haven't really been super up on this, and I don't go on Twitter going back and forth. Yeah, most people just think he's a simp or a shill, blah, 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 blah. So there's one more point I want to bring up, and this is, people always talk about the Paul George thing. Like the Paul George thing happened, they lost a bunch of money, and then they had to do this stuff. And, you know, shout out to Ty Debo and DBG. They have said this often. People call it the Paul George glitch. It was not a glitch. In fact, from a moral standpoint, I think it was wrong for 2K to wipe accounts, because 2K made a pricing error. That's it. They made a pricing error. The people who bought the card did the thing anybody would do, is they, oh, you're selling it for too low of a price and I can sell it back at a higher price, then I'll continue to do that. No one was actually hurt when this was happening. See, the thing about the MT sites is this affected competition because there was a 250K tournament. So there's a reason to actually punish that action, right? Because if we're having a tournament where we're giving away $250,000, I don't know what the total prize pool is, but like, you know, they're giving away $250,000 at the very minimum. They're putting on a production and doing all this other stuff. So they're dumping at least probably $1 million into this, probably even more, right? When you think about the software and the setup. So for them, the whole spirit of it is, well, you get the cards that you get. And it's not totally fair because people who have more money are going to have better cards. But you do the best that you can, playing the game, grinding the game. You show up to this tournament, may the best player win. And we feel like we're all working under the same rules. And then what happens is people cheat, go to an external source. Yes, MYTEAM sites were cheating. MT sites were cheating. We know that. They go to an external source to give them an advantage that if you just play the game, you don't have that advantage. So now you have steroids, right? You have something outside of the game, outside of the restrictions of the game that's giving you an advantage. And so now you should be banned. The problem with that was, of course, 2K let this go on for a while. 2K knew that it was going on for a while. And the reason 2K didn't do anything about it or address it was most likely because they didn't have security measures in place. And before they really wanted to address it and put the budget in and do all this other stuff, they weren't going to make a big public deal about it. Maybe because I don't know, maybe they were hoping more people wouldn't do it. I think when it became pretty much mainstream, when after every YouTube video, it was like, go to an MT site here, that's probably when they were like, all right, we got to shut it down. But the Paul George situation is totally different because no one was hurt during that. People are just playing online, right? And even at the time, you were just talking about what? Wemby and Kobe. So if somebody had a whole bunch of MT, what's the difference between that person having MT because they bought it or because they were up when the Paul George thing happened and they benefited from a mistake that 2K made? That wasn't anything wrong on anybody's part. It was incompetence on the part of 2K. Yet 2K felt like they had to, I don't know what, even the playing field by wiping people's accounts. I don't know how that was really justified, to be honest with you. And that shouldn't be something that we look at. I only bring this up because that's not something we should look at as the community's problem. This is a 2K issue, a mistake that they made. If you make a mistake and give away everything for free, if a company marks something for $9.99 and it's supposed to be $99.99 and everybody goes home and buys it, everybody goes to the store, buys it and takes it home, you can't go to their house and be like, oh no, we wrung you out, we took your money, we said this was the price, but you need it back because we made a mistake. No, hold that L and go make other stuff. And I'll see you back at the store while I enjoy my $100 product that I bought for $10. That's on you. Never make that mistake again. Right? Figure it out. And 2K did figure it out. That's the funny thing is they just made it so that the update happens early in the morning as opposed to overnight so that somebody's on staff so that they can fix it. And I bring this up because people keep going back to the Paul George thing and going like, oh, the community exploited the Paul George thing, so now they're being punished for it. No, this is not a dynamic that we should accept from any company, right? The company, and this is another thing I want to address. Companies should not be punishing their communities, right? You should be making a great game and profiting off of making a great game. And we should be happy to pay you for providing us with enjoyment. That's the contract that we're supposed to be signing, the social contract, right? That we're supposed to be signing together. It's not supposed to be you make rules and we break rules and you punish us. We're not your children. And while I think that most developers don't think of things that way, I do think that there are some developers who get into that mindset, and it's because they're human beings. And gamers trash developers a lot. And usually when they do, honestly, it's purely out of emotion, not a whole lot of actual critique and information based on how they're doing it. And developers, as human beings, they just see the community the same way the community says 2K. I remind you guys all the time, 2K is an entire, practically mini city of buildings. It's not one company. It's not an office, right? It's not even one building. And the same thing with the community. It's not all cheaters and all toxic people. And the developers know this intellectually. But when you go online and you're getting hammered, emotionally, it can make you spiteful. And it does make some of them spiteful. And it has made some of them spiteful. I've seen quotes from them that I can use to prove that it's made some of them spiteful in the past and hurt game design, right? But I'm not here to call that out. I'm just here to say that there's emotion on both sides of this. And because 2K has, or certain developers or certain decisions have been made reactively by 2K in the past, doesn't make it okay. 2K has to own their mistakes. And my biggest problem with my team specifically is I don't think the mode is designed to be great. I don't think the mode is designed to be competitive. I think first and foremost, the mode is designed to extract resources from you. And then after they get the resource extraction down, they're like, okay, so how can we make that somewhat fun? But I could, and I probably will, destroy the My Team design going forward because I want them to do better. I think they can have the same, even terrible monetary structures and still have a much, much more fun experience in the game. I don't think people having fun is a problem. The only issue is that 2K has to spend money on developing the mode for people to have fun. So yes, you might have to put some money into some features. You might have to spend extra developer time on some of the gameplay design of those modes. But you should still be trying to make a good thing. It shouldn't be, oh, well, we're getting the money from them, so let's not make anything for the mode. No new features, no new modes. Forget about the gameplay. We're just gonna, we're getting our money, so let's move on to next year or other things. I'm not saying that's the attitude they have, but it feels like the attitude they have based on how they update the game. All right, so let's address this auction house thing. I missed the auction house, but how was it better when it cost $2.5 million to get MJ, Kobe, blah, blah, blah? It was $1 million max. Okay, so I will say, and I like DBG, so this agreement is just on a factual basis. We cannot compare MT apples to apples because MT is much more abundant this year than in previous years. So you can't just say, well, last year something cost this price and this year something cost that price, so last year was better and this year is worse. On a case-by-case basis, there are worse instances of cost from before and worse instances of cost from today. And the same thing is true for the reverse. On a case-by-case basis, there are some instances of stuff from before where even without MT sites, there were better deals back in the day. And there are some instances today where from a free reward standpoint, you're like, has it ever been better than this, right? The core issue is that this is my team, not best team, right? And that's the thing that I think we need to always keep in mind here, right? Because this guy has a tweet somewhere. I don't know where it is, but yeah, he's saying he's talking about which players he runs with, right? And he's showing his team and saying this is a good team, right? And so this debate about what's the best team, that's RNG, gambling, blah blah blah, and somebody will be like, oh, well, I have this team that's really good. Listen, guys, my I shouldn't say no money spent. My low money spent team is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I have a great team. In fact, I have a team that's so good that it's almost an advertisement for not spending money. Because when you look at the YouTubers, my now fellow content creators who spent thousands of dollars, like literally thousands and thousands of dollars, having a squad where they have one or two more cards better than me, you go, well, I'm not spending thousands and thousands of dollars just because I have Wemby and you don't, but the rest of your lineup is completely equal to mine. That sounds crazy, especially when like now Dikembe's out there. I could have got Dikembe if I wanted, and we're on practically completely even footing, yet my cost is so much lower. But it's not best team. It's my team. I have never argued, and to his credit, neither has DBG, that you can't build a good squad without spending money. The problem is you can't build your team, not just without spending money, but you can spend money and still come out a loser because there's no other way to get the cards. See, with the auction house, you could roll the dice gambling on packs. If you didn't get what you wanted, you could sell what you bought and still have a way to get the card you wanted. And now the situation you might be in is, well, according to the time and money that I spend on the game, with the luck that I had from pulling packs, these are the players I can choose to be on my team, but you're still choosing the players to be in your lineup. You're not completely subject to what the game gives you. So when people say it's their team, it's not my team, that's the problem. And I want to keep our eye on the prize here, because a lot of the emotional fun, and this is an important point, the emotional fun of my team comes from you getting the cards that you want, not from you getting good cards. This is not a competitive mode. And this is an important point because that's how 2K sees it, right? That's how they see it. That's not just my assessment. That's their assessment. That's how they design the mode. So we have to be on the same page with how they look at the game. And one last note about the economy. Now, so I said comparing apples to apples from last year to this year is not accurate, but at the same time, it is fair to talk about pricing. So a lot of what this guy is talking about is how much stuff costs. And like, well, it's irrelevant if it costs $1 million or 100,000. No, it's very relevant. And this is something I want to leave you guys with before I shut it down on all this foolishness. 2K surgically adjusts the prices of everything in games. They know if my career only gave 700 VC for my career game, people would never play my career, right? So they make sure that it's very easy to get more than 700, and they make it aspirational to get over 1,000 VC, right? But that 1,000 VC is not, say, 1,800 VC. I'm not even going to go all the way to 2,000, 1,800, because they know, ooh, if you could make 1,800 every My Career game, and we still have to design the rest of the incentives of the game mode, so we still have to put in park and quests and all this other stuff, and the wheel, all these other things, all these shiny lights to get you to be in the game, to spending time in the game, right? All this user engagement. We have to have user engagement across the whole game. So in order for us to also have VC in those modes, we can't overly reward you here, because what will happen, and I'm talking about the My Career community here, is you would be able to never have to spend a dime for a My Career player, especially the first two. Because once you have 5 My Career players, it pays for itself the rest of the year, right? Take it from a guy with 10 characters, right? Several 99s, several purple plates, and, it's very easy for me with jumping around quests and stuff to make 30,000 VC a week, barely touching the game, right? Just with a few quests here and there, a little bit of rec, and I can easily have between 30, 40,000 a week. And if I want to earn 150,000 every single week, that's not even grinding. That's just playing the game on a regular basis, right? Because I don't buy boosts. And if you don't buy boosts, that's another thing. Boosts are in the game to keep you from earning too much. Because if you only earn, there'll be a tipping point where you've earned so much that you have a surplus. And once you get into that surplus and VC becomes just a number, which is something they never want to happen. They never want you to be wealthy in VC, right? Like being rich is having a little more than you need. Being wealthy is when currency just becomes a number. And they never want that to happen, because once currency becomes a number, then you can go through an earning period, right? And just stack currency over and over, say for a month. And you take that month of just earning VC that I talked about, the hypothetical number. Say you go, you know what? I'm going to grind VC from December to February. And now, since it's just a number, since you have so much extra, you can spend the rest of the year and never feel attached to the emotional hooks that they're using to lead you from dopamine release point to dopamine release point. See, the thing about MYTEAM is it has an additional emotional hook, which is the gambling. This is why there's a troll card in almost every single dark matter lock-in, because without the troll cards, you can't feel like a loser. And without feeling like a loser, you can't feel the need to become a winner. I'm going to leave you guys with that message. We'll continue to talk more about these topics. I hope you enjoyed this one. Little silly drama going on. The community's bored, but we're going to keep it going. Look for more breakdowns and card reviews and community discussions on this channel. Please like and subscribe. I say this every video, and I mean it every video. Your support has been absolutely over the top fantastic. So thank you for that. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.